Hi, my name is Angelo Lopez. I'm a Filipino-American editorial cartoonist in the San Francisco Bay Area, and today I have the great honor to be speaking to two great political cartoonists, Zehra Ömeroğlu. Do I have that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Ömeroğlu?
yeah. Yeah, it's correct.
and Terry Anderson. A brief description of Zehra. Zehra is a Turkish cartoonist, and your work has been seen in Leman, France
Yeah.
24, Cartooning for Peace, and I guess you're now in Daryl Cagle's cartoon website, right?
Yeah, it's correct. I have been there for 6 months or something, 6 or 7 months. Yeah, I'm a member.
Oh, okay.
hmm
Okay. Yeah. And congratulations for winning this year's Courage in Cartooning Award.
Thank you
Yay.
so much. Thank you so much. I still feel so happy, like I'm on the. I know it's maybe the main reason is not so nice, but still I have the award, and it makes me feel good to be supported, and it's so important for me to have this award. So I'm still kind of on the clouds to have it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a pretty cowardly cartoonist. I'm hoping that by talking to you, I get more courage and stuff. So, Terry is a Scottish cartoonist, and his work has been seen in the Glasgow Herald. I guess you're a part of the Scottish Cartoon Art Studio, and I guess your work is also seen in Cartoon Movement. You won a prize, but I don't think I can pronounce this prize. The Prix Gerard Vandebroek Saint Just Le Martel Award. Is that do I have that right, or am I way
Yeah,
off?
the festival, or the salon as it's called in Saint Just Martel,
Okay.
which is some 45 years old now at this point. That's the prize named for its founder, who was a politician, really, more so than a cartoonist, but was very much involved in international uh, work and fostering good relations across borders, and assisting cartoonists internationally. So sadly, he died in 2018, and then after that, the Salon inaugurated an award in his name and recognizing that particular kind of work. So in actual fact, it's not an award for drawing.
Oh,
I've never won one of those. It's an award. It's an award for the other work that I do.
okay. Well, still congratulations for that and
Mhm.
stuff. And Terry's also the executive director of the Cartoonist Rights Network International. It's an organization that's dedicated to help to defending cartoonists around the world who may be in danger for their work and stuff. So today we'll be talking about Zehra's cartooning career, Terry's recent work at Cartoonist Rights Network International, and a graphic novel that Zehra is working on right now and stuff. So thank you both very much for taking the time to talk to me from halfway around the world and stuff. So thank you both.
Thank you,
Okay.
and thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, sure. And I warned you before, but I'll be pronouncing cartoonist names. I've talked to cartoonists from different countries, and I've pretty much succeeded in mispronouncing all of their names. So I want to apologize in advance and stuff. But Zehra, first question for you and stuff.
hmm
Since I mentioned your graphic novel, what is it? Tell us about it.
Okay. Actually, it's funny that I'm working on this graphic novel because the more the Turkish government wanted to silence me and cover all what's going on around, the more I felt brave to draw about it. So, yeah, they wanted to silence, but now many other countries will know about this story. So it's very important for me to be able to work on this graphic novel because it's an autobiographical work. It's not only autobiographical, but it's based on an autobiographical narrative. But it's far beyond this personal narrative because, I a trial against me started in the beginning of the pandemic because of one of my cartoons.
Yeah.
I was accused with obscenity and I face up to, and it's still ongoing. I thought I had an ending for the graphic novel. I
Oh,
thought I could draw the end, but then they took it to the Court of Appeal. So now I still don't have the end, and I have no ending.
okay. So you're
So
not going to finish the graphic novel until the trial ends, I guess.
no. I finished, but maybe I will make the volume 2. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh,
No,
okay.
I hope it finishes till this trial comes to an end, till I finish the graphic novel, because I still have some more months. So it's basically about this trial, this lawsuit, and what's happening in Turkey, about freedom of speech, about journalists, cartoonists, and how is it like to be an artist in an under the a rule of an how to say it, like what's the word, autocrat, but I couldn't
Well,
remember the word. Yeah, authoritarian
authoritarian.
regimes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, my mind is so tired.
Oh no, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, so it's not easy to be a cartoonist, an artist, or a journalist, or just just
Yeah.
it's not easy for us to try to live like that. So basically, I will be talking about this. I will be telling about this in the graphic novel, and it will be published first in Germany
Yeah.
by Corrective, and then we are still on negotiations with maybe a publisher in UK and Netherlands. So everyone will know about the story.
You kind of have a personality where if somebody tries to push you around, you push back. Is that part of the graphic novels? Your motivation to do the graphic novel is, I'm not going to let you bully me and stuff. I'm going to do this graphic. Is that sort of like that?
Actually, I want to share with people, because it's so absurd. It's so it's strange, but funny at the same time. And, it's so funny that the more strict they are trying to be, the more, what's the word, silly? What's the word, Terry? I don't want to say silly or
Oh no, crazy.
so
Is it crazy? Does it sound kind of
I'm
crazy?
trying to find some polite word for it, but I don't know. So
So
I
it's
just want to show that how things can go, how absurd things can be, and how far it can go. So I want to share with people. It's not like taking a revenge or, oh, I will show you. No. I don't feel like that. I just want to share and show how funny and absurd it is.
Oh, okay. Has it been
Yeah.
fun doing? You do a short format. Is it fun doing a long format or
No,
no?
actually, it's painful.
Was it all okay?
It's really painful, because I'm a cartoonist. Of course, I did some long strips for maybe 20 pages, maybe 30 pages, but this will be around like 150 or 200. So it's really a lot of work.
Yeah,
And yes, it's not easy, and it's so different from cartoons. So
yeah.
it's painful, but I'm trying to motivate, thinking the moment that I say, okay, I finished it, Now I have my story all drawn, and it's ready to share with people. So I'm trying to hold on this last
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do long. I'm for the first time. I'm trying to do multi panels, but I'm terrible with dialogue. Every time I read my dialogue, I cringe. Is that the struggle with you? Is dialogue, or is it just the story itself?
I think the worst part is, or the most painful part is, to live again and again, to
Oh,
experience it again and again, because I had really some bad moments about all during all this story, the
yeah,
trial, the relocation, also getting banned from media, blah blah, losing your job. I can count many.
yeah.
So it's hard to see it all, and you are so into the story again. So I think this is the hardest part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like PTSD, I guess. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay. Well, Terry, I want to make sure you have time to talk about this, so I'll ask you this now and stuff. Tell me about the fundraising, the pledge drive that the Cartoonist Rights Network International will be doing this December.
Yeah, thanks, Angelo. So as we're speaking right now, it's the second week of November. Obviously in the States, coming up for the holidays. And what we normally do is have just once a year a pledge drive with particular attention to what's called Giving Tuesday, the Tuesday after the big orgiastic festival of capitalism on on Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
So this year obviously is a little bit different. The big change since you and I last spoke obviously is the change in government that's occurred. And it's safe to say that non-profits generally, but non-profits in the United States in particular, have had a very hard 2025. Quite early on, there were the well-publicized cuts led by Doge to things like USAID. We are not a government-funded organization, but of course, when that funding goes away, what happens is the pressure increases on all the other alternative sources that there are. So when the United States stepped away from humanitarian aid and a lot of these other programs that they had been funding, in some cases, that meant organizations laying off their staff or either temporarily or permanently closing down their operations.
Yeah.
And for those that could survive, it meant either cutting back severely or, as I say, trying to find alternatives. And that rush towards all the alternatives has meant, in effect, that what funding there is has to be spread more thinly, go farther than it did before. And everybody that you talk to in the sector right now is talking about largely the same couple of things, which are the ongoing effects of that. It has to be said, probably exacerbated and worsened by the government shutdown, even though that's primarily a federal expenditure freeze. It still has a knock-on effect in addition to other things, other sectors. And then aside from that, although related to it, are all the issues to do with immigration and visas and the extent to which America does or does not allow the kind of people that we normally assist into the country. As everyone knows, there's a list right now of nationalities that are completely banned, that cannot enter under any circumstances the United States. In addition to that, visas generally on a humanitarian basis are really no longer being issued. The only visas that you can get now are the more kind of business or talent related visas. And even with those, in addition to whatever arguments you might make on behalf of the person for their ability or their what they could do, in terms of their profession, of late there's been much more in the way of fees attached to these. So in turn, that makes them harder to get, and in a lot of cases, obviously beyond the scope of a lot of people who would otherwise be relying on them as an alternative to the humanitarian visas.
I'm curious. Is since Cartoonist Rights Network International is a human rights, has it especially hit human rights organizations hard?
Yes, I would say that broadly speaking, the perception of human rights obviously is that it is a progressive and therefore left-leaning cause. There are organizations that, after the funding was frozen or funding was cut, received messages to the effect that perhaps funding would be released if they changed their emphasis, if they removed certain terms, certain vocabulary from things like their mission statements or their public-facing materials. Again, I want to be absolutely clear. that has not happened to us. We're too small a fish to come under
Yeah.
that kind of pressure, but we're still part of the same sector. And what
Oh,
affects the whole sector does affect us. So the general scarcity of funding for sure affects us. The difficulty in dealing with international cartoonists in terms of how we can assist them when it comes to things like referring them to embassies or some of the things that we might have done in the past. That's definitely an issue now. And the third thing I would say is slightly more recent phenomena is the extent to which certain figures in the cabinet, people like Miller or Vance, and particularly since the killing of Charlie Kirk, have talked about non-profits as if we are in some way, shape, or form enablers of terrorism. And so there's a mischaracterization, if not an outright character assassination
yeah.
in progress. And when we last spoke, the thing that I was most concerned about at that time was something called Bill HR 9495, which was
Mhm.
before the Congress at the end of last year, which would have given whoever won the election would have given the next president the power to more readily remove non-profit status from 501c3 registered organisations like ourselves. Now, as it turns out, Congress ran out of time. The session ended, and the bill wouldn't pass.
Mhm.
But as we all know, assuming, of course, that the government shutdown ends, as that now appears to be the case,
Yeah.
the arithmetic is such that if something like that comes before the Congress again, and I don't see why it wouldn't before the midterms, then
Yeah.
it certainly will pass into law.
Yeah.
And with an instrument like that, we could see, rather than the kind of challenging environment that non-profits have faced 2025, 2026, what you could be contending with is a proper catastrophe
Yeah.
for non-profits. So all that being said,
Yeah.
it's a long way of coming around to asking people for their help and their support
Okay.
in December of this year. And as I say, especially on Giving Tuesday, which this year is the 2nd of December.
Okay. Okay. I'll put a link on where you can
Sure,
donate. So, okay. Send me the link so I can put it
I
in
will
the,
do. Yeah,
stuff. I noticed that, with Duterte, when he was president, he attacked all of the institutions and groups that had been successful in opposing the first dictator Marcos and stuff. And it's part because Trump is so friendly to right wing authoritarians. Part of it is uh, disabling groups or organize. Would part of it be disabling groups or organizations that might act as a check on those type of right wing autocrats, I guess.
I think that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it has to be borne in mind that a very basic feature of fascism is that fascists detest weakness,
Yeah.
and non-profits, you know, to make a big sweeping generalization, assist the weak, the disenfranchised,
Yeah.
those who have less power.
Yeah.
Um, so the mission itself doesn't make sense to someone of that mindset. And as I say, on top of that, you have a very deliberate and very disingenuous impulse to mischaracterize what it is that we actually do as a sector.
Okay. Well, I'll give you this platform to rightly characterize your group. Okay. Okay. Let me go to Zehra and stuff. You mentioned before about how your graphic novel is about your trial and stuff. Could you
Mhm.
is it painful to talk about the trial right now, or I was going to ask you how the trial is, and the
Mhm.
cartoon that the trial had to do with and stuff. But is it painful for you to answer these kind of questions right now, or?
I cannot say it's painful because I'm so used to it. It's like a part of me because it has been 5 years, and I finally I understood that they are not going to end this. So I'm trying to become a friend with this trial. I'm used to it, but still, sometimes I feel really sick of it because I want to just draw, just be busy with my profession. But this trial and things about this trial make me so busy. You always have a thing in your life that you can not get rid of. So sometimes I'm bored more than I can talk about it, but I say, okay, that's enough. I just want to get rid of it, but it's okay to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Plus, Angelo, she wants people to buy the book, so she doesn't really want to explain the whole thing over here.
And one more thing, I really feel guilty because Terry had to hear this story 100 times. So Terry, if you can put the volume down, maybe I will be more.
Yeah, I can go and make a coffee or something and come back.
Well, tell me what.
Terry
tell
had
me
to
what you're
hear
able
about
to.
it many times, but their support for me is so important. They were almost since the beginning. They are with me as Cartoonist Rights. So unfortunately, they had to hear this story 100 times, but it's so important for me.
Yeah, I'm curious though. Was part of the controversy about your cartoon, did it involve conservative religious sensibilities and stuff? Was it the more religious parts that got you in trouble and stuff? Because I know that with me and stuff, I've occasionally gotten a lot of conservative Christians annoyed at me, but I've never gotten on trial or anything like you have and stuff. But I'm wondering, is it because it's a sort of sexual cartoon, right, and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've read, it's in an adult magazine, so it shouldn't have been a problem and stuff. So was it the religious sensibility, or is it just that the autocrat or the government just doesn't want anything that's is controversial in any way?
I think it's all related. It's all connected. I mean, if you're an artist, and of course, especially if you're a woman artist, they don't want you to speak up. They want you to obey the rules of this traditional society. Just give them kids, sit at home and take care of your house. It's too much for them to draw, no matter what you draw about. But especially if you draw about. I still try to say that it's not a sex cartoon. It's not pornographic or erotic or anything, because it is it is a very simple style. And anyone who sees sex looking at this cartoon must be really insane, which I think these people are, because it's not about sex. It's just a funny moment of a couple, during the lockdown and the pandemic. So it was just an ordinary moment of life. It's insane that they see sex while looking at this. So, about your question, I think it's all related. It's tradition, it's about religion, it's about an autograph who wants to silence the artist to speak up. Because no matter what you draw, they always find a reason to stop you or make you busy with these trials, and I was in trouble many times because of many different types of cartoons. So
it's not just one.
Not legal case. As a legal case, I have one, but it's as, for example, social media lynch or threats or swearings. It's not just one.
Okay.
And any cartoonist in Turkey experienced this, I think.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, because I remember Terry last time when he talked about your case. Turkey used to be a lot more open, right, and stuff. Did it only started closing down because of Erdogan, or was that a trend before Erdogan?
Actually, before Erdogan, of course we have cases, but this Erdogan, what should I say, era? I don't know.
Yeah.
It became totally insane. We cannot say anything. We cannot talk about anything, and there are almost no cartoonists left. And there are no. Of course, cartoonists are still there, but they cannot find any media outlets to draw in this AKP party time. It became impossible to draw about anything, especially in last 10 years. So there are many legal cases, and what happened to Leman. So it wasn't like that harsh before.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember in America, our problem right now is Christian nationalism. I talked to Regina Taniha, and she says in India, the problem in India is Hindu nationalism. So is there a sort of Islamic nationalism in Turkey that's causing you that's closing what an artist can say, I guess, or no?
I always ask this question to myself also. Is it about Islam? Is it about religion? Or it's about like they don't want anyone to talk? Of course, it's a big discussion about like people who wants to live a secular life and who wants to live a religious life. And in Turkey, it's a very mixed culture. There are different kind of groups of people. So I mean, the ones who wants to live a secular life, it's not just minority. It's almost half. Maybe more than half. So this is a big issue. And also the issue is they don't care about law, and they don't care about law, so they can frame anything about like terror or obscenity, or they criminalize people who want to like draw and who just want to make news, like journalists, so they can criminalize everything. So the laws are, for example, the anti-terror law is like the cases, it's extremely vague. So you can say anything. This is terror, this is crime, this is not. It's all in their hands,
Okay.
I think the accurate way to describe it would be that Erdogan's no theocrat. Under Erdogan, Turkey would never look like Iran. But he's a savvy enough political operator to understand that Islam is something that he can use when it's convenient. So when he wants to appeal to traditional values in the way that an American politician would, it just so happens that in Turkey that means Islam rather than Christianity.
But so with Trump, he's exploiting Christian nationalism, but he's not really Christian. Stuff. So not
in the way that matters to the Almighty. He's not, but the other point is that, again, in terms of populism, how do you differentiate your constituency from others? So that you can both appeal to their chauvinism, but also you can portray yourself as a victim. So again, Islam is convenient because when it comes to, again, particularly when we talk about the decade since Charlie Hebdo, Islam is a wedge issue that can be used to differentiate Turkey from the rest of Europe, for example, and it can be used to foster mistrust or enmity towards the rest of Europe, particularly when we talk about cartoons, obviously, and some of the stuff that's happened lately.
This is the us and them.
Us and them. It's a convenient thing. It's a convenient thing for him to rely upon, more so than it is a kind of all-pervading.
Okay.
Sorry.
What were you going to say, Zehra?
I think it's the same with all. I think it's. Sorry, I told you finished because it just stopped, but. Sorry. So I was going to say that I think it's the same for all the autocrats, that they just want to they just can use anything when it's useful to silence people, to strengthen their position. So it's always the same case.
Okay. Well, thank you both and stuff. Okay, here I'm looking at the time. I'm going to make sure you get on your train on time. So
thank you.
Okay,
sorry.
Oh no. That's okay. It's okay. Terry. We talked last time about Atena Farghadani and Ashraf Omar. What's
Yep.
the latest news on that?
So it's good news and bad. Not long after we last spoke, Atena heard from the courts that they were effectively dropping the charges that were
Oh,
at that
good.
time leveled against her and substituting them for another set with a
Uh,
lower penalty. So she
okay.
wasn't exactly acquitted, but the nature of the offence was changed, and by that time she had been held for so long that effectively time was served. So she
Yeah.
was actually released in December last year, and there hasn't been anything to report since, although she is still in Iran and in that sense still in harm's way. Um,
Yeah.
that was, as you may recall, that was her third instance of being a prisoner. So there's no guarantee, that in the future she couldn't fulfill them again. Ashraf, on the other hand, I'm afraid it's no change. So he's been held in Egypt for almost a year and a half now, without trial, without any due process. Nothing's progressed. The only thing of true significance externally was that in September, several UN officials, several special rapporteurs, and members of relevant working groups, particularly the working group on arbitrary detention, made a big statement on his behalf, which we hope is the first step towards the Egyptian government at least engaging with the case and talking about Ashraf in a way that they haven't so far. But there is a limited time that they can conceivably do this to him. You actually, according to the law, cannot hold someone indefinitely without trial. So if he is going to stand trial, and I don't see why he wouldn't, then we would expect that to begin fairly early next year. And then it turns into obviously a different conversation about how fairly the trial is conducted, and assuming that they were to find them guilty, which again is to do with, as far as they are concerned, supporting terrorism, which is a completely unfounded,
Yeah.
ridiculous charge. Then what kind of sentence would that entail?
Okay. Now, is it, I noticed with both Zehra, Atena, and Ashraf Omar, it seems like a tactic. It's a similar thing that's happening in the Philippines. You get so stuck in the court system, you just get worn down and stuff. Is that true and stuff? That's sort of Zehra. Do you feel kind of worn? Just from what I heard from you, you sound worn down.
Yeah. You asked if I feel warned or not, right? Did I get it
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a way that they want to warn you for, like, okay, stop this, or we will put you in jail, or stop this, just stop drawing, or we will take your life from you. It's kind of a, a message that is being given to artists, all the artists. So it's a way of just stopping you from what you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and since she's sick and tired of talking about it, I'll talk about it for a little bit. The the lockdown obviously didn't help. As Zehra mentioned, her cartoon was about the lockdown, and all this happened while the world was contending with the early part of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we all know in every country in the world that had an effect on how quickly the courts could move, because all of a sudden you couldn't have people gathered in the way that you could in normal times. So anybody that had any dealings with the courts through that whole period could have expected things to be slower than is typical. But we're now in year 5 of this nonsense, and anyone who has followed it closely, has read the stuff that we've written about it, that Cartooning for Peace and others have written about it, will know that at times the excuses for why this was moving so slowly were the kind of excuse that a child failing to produce their homework in a school would not get away with.
Yeah.
And obviously there is always plausible deniability, but in my opinion, that is a tactic. It is strategic. It's exactly what you said, Angelo. It is to make the case as protracted as it possibly can be, so that the stress that it engenders can be maximized, so that the disruption that it causes will last for the maximum length of time, that it eats up money, that it prevents you from getting on with other things that you would otherwise do. And it's for those reasons, in part, that Zehra was our Courage and Cartooning Award winner this year, because many people in similar situations would curl up into a ball and completely retreat, say nothing, do nothing.
Yeah, that's me.
Focus entirely on the case, and allow it to consume everything, which is what they want, as you say, in my opinion, which is what they want.
Yeah.
And again, the cartoon is not obscene. The context and the content of the cartoon is not obscene. The report that was delivered by the censors suggested, in addition to it being obscene, that reading between the lines that Zehra was a danger to children, which is outrageous slander directed against her. The career that she was enjoying up until that point has effectively been destroyed between one thing and another, not just this case, but everything else that she talks about, the general difficulties that cartoonists in Turkey are experiencing, the destruction of Leman magazine in recent months, the magazine where the cartoon itself was originally seen. For all of those reasons, she would have qualified already.
Yeah.
It's happening, in my opinion, because she's a woman. The same cartoon in the same place at the same time with a male name on the byline would not have resulted in court action. It just wouldn't. Again, we can talk about the reasons for that, but it boils down to, in Erdogan's Turkey, women should know their place.
Yeah.
And a woman who's funny and outspoken and self-possessed and owns her sexuality and owns her opinions and owns her perspective in the way that Zehra does is not welcome. And it's obviously not just her. You can compare this case to a lot of other things that have happened in Turkey. There are writers and singers, social media influencers. There are many other women with a public platform who've experienced similar, not just pushback, but prosecutions. And through all of that, as we have just seen, capable of laughing about it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's courageous.
Yeah.
To continue to laugh about it.
Thank you, Terry.
Even though it's so serious. Even though it's so serious, and it's serious.
Yeah.
But to continue to laugh about it. So that's the
Zehra,
reason why.
I'm glad you're able to laugh about it and stuff. So yeah. I have a question about you. Did all of this happen when you were working in Leman, right? Could you tell me about the Leman magazine and what's happened to the staff of Leman?
Actually, it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. What happened to Leman? I was there in the streets. So it was like watching a whole era coming to an end, because I started to draw at Leman, and many people started to draw at Leman. It was like our home, our school, our university. It was so important to be there, and it was amazing satirical magazine. And it was the best way to learn about news in Turkey, in the world, and what we learned from Leman, maybe that's why I'm still keeping it. Maybe it's my personality, I don't know, but we were laughing. We always managed to laugh about everything. So that was the way we all came together and talk about things, discuss things, what was happening in Turkey was always hard. It was really hard, but we always found a way to laugh about it and to make people laugh about it. So I think it's the best way to cope with things. It's best way to digest things, and also fight with what's being done to you, you know. So Leman was so important. There were many cartoonists there like me, and it was so sad to see that magazine with all these radicals there. It was radical Islamists. That's how they describe themselves. So I will describe like them, you know, because it was an organization. There was a so-called Prophet Muhammad cartoon, but it was not a Muhammad cartoon. But again, if the government wants to criminalize you, they always find a reason. They want to follow you, and they find the best moment, the most suitable thing for them to destroy you. And the thing is, what happened to Leman? So some radical Islamists, like, they attacked the building, claiming that it was a Prophet Muhammad cartoon because, you know, it's forbidden to draw about him, even to draw about him. So these people were like shouting Sharia slogans. You know, they were shouting that they wanted to like kill cartoonists, not only the one who killed it, but anyone about Leman. And they were like breaking the windows, trying to destroy attack the building, you know, with Sharia flags. And it was so terrible watching this thing, watching all these our home to get destroyed, you know. So I'm so really sorry that Leman doesn't exist anymore. It's and it's a big loss for, it's not just about the cartoonists who are working there, it's about all Turkey, you know. People like this magazine, people follow this magazine and learn things from this magazine. As I said, it was like a school, it was like home for all the, not only for cartoonists, for all the people. So Leman stuff was many of them. I don't want to give numbers like 5 or 6. It's not important, but many colleagues were like arrested. Some of them were released, but they are waiting for the next trial, which will be soon, I think. But the cartoonist is unfortunately still in jail. And I don't think right now anyone can help him. It's very painful to say this, but this is the truth. We all
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's really, I feel sorry to tell this because it was a really big tradition. Cartooning is a big tradition. Even in the Ottoman times, it's not a new thing. Even in the Ottoman times, it was a big tradition. And it's as I said, it's the funniest thing. People share magazines with each other. People send cartoons to each other. It was so dynamic, you know. And now there's no one left, no magazines left in Turkey. And it's really sad to see this. You know,
in a way, even though it's sad, in some sense, it testifies to how powerful cartoons could be. I always get the sense when when listening to you is that there's a sense that cartoons can still have an influence. I think in America, cartoons still have an influence on local issues, but because newspapers have been dying off, I don't think today's political cartoonists have as much influence on national issues. Our influence is more local, whereas with you, there's still a sense that the cartoons could be a potent weapon.
I think so. Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, whenever I see a cartoon being judged or cartoonist being silenced, I again realize how powerful this art form is. It makes me, it is expected to make me like feel depressed or down, you know, but no, it's the opposite. I mean, I realize again, same as you, I see how powerful it is. And it reminds me of how that we have to protect this art, you know. That's why I really think what Cartoonist Rights do is very important, because it's trying to be like the silence is all over the world, but but we are lucky that we still have some people who are supporting us, some organizations who are supporting us, so that we can continue to draw, continue to publish our works and speak. It's so important.
Yeah. I have to tell this story. I have a friend who's a faculty member at Berkeley, and I went to a party of hers and her boyfriend and stuff. And when I was there, everybody in the party was like an academic or social worker, and everybody was scared because of Trump's cuts. But when I told them that I was a political cartoonist, this never happened before. But for the very first time, people were thanking me for being a political cartoonist and stuff. And yeah. Most parties, when I tell them that, they don't make a big deal out of it. But for that, but that one time, I kept on thinking, wow, and stuff. It was a big boost to my ego and stuff. But I also I don't know. I don't know if you've been to parties lately where you mentioned that, and oh wow, you're a cartoonist. And I never been to a party where people thanked me for being a cartoonist and stuff. But, but it was kind of like that. It validated my self-worth, because usually I don't have that. but I'm wondering, I guess for both of you, because I'm seeing it's 9:55 right now, so you got 5 minutes and stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to ask one last question and stuff for you both and stuff. What are the rewards for both of you, since we're talking about how important for both of you, just personally, what's the rewards about being a cartoonist?
Would you like to start, Terry?
Sure. They ain't financial.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Before I answer that, Angela, I just want to, before we move off of the topic completely, I want to say, for the benefit of anyone that doesn't know the Leman case and what's happening with Dolan Pehlevan, the cartoonist who's still in jail, they can go to our website and get all the details there. But I won't belabor it here because we're short on time.
Also, I will be telling about it in the graphic novel, telling the details. So the Leman case, if anyone wants to know more about the Leman, what happened to Leman and Leman stuff, cartoonists, because it's important and you cannot talk about it, that often. So,
do you have a title yet? What's a title for your graphic novel? And when do you think it's going to be finished?
It's The Case. The title is The Case. So pretty direct name. And it's going to be finished in April 2026. Probably be published around those months.
Okay, sure. Okay. Now go ahead, Terry. And stuff.
I think that, and this has come up with me a lot lately, because I'm working at the moment with some young people and doing some classes on this kind of stuff. Whether or not they ever pursue it for a career, is a completely separate issue. As far as I'm concerned, there's a benefit to it in and of itself. I think it makes you a better critical thinker. I think that drawing is thinking. And even when we talk about the kind of flow state that drawing can create in a person, this idea that at a certain point you kind of enter a different state of consciousness. It's not hallucinogenic or anything like that. You're simply operating at a different level, and you can literally lose track of time and suddenly find that 5 or 6 hours have gone by, and you don't necessarily remember how you drew every single thing that's there on the page. So there's definitely something. There's a mental health benefit to drawing. There's a critical thinking benefit to satire, and to taking that step backwards and casting a satirical eye upon the powers that be, those that have control in our lives, those that influence our lives, hard power and soft power. I think either are legitimate targets for satire. And then that then perhaps benefits other people because the common misconception is that a political cartoon or an editorial cartoon is supposed to be funny. I don't actually think in the first instance it's supposed to be funny. Humor helps a great deal, but I don't think that's actually what it's for. I think what it's for is to reach somebody who has felt the same way but didn't know how to articulate it necessarily.
Yeah.
And then when they see it put so succinctly and clearly in a way that's more immediate than a written sentence can achieve, then it makes them feel better, because all of a sudden they're like, oh, thank God, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. or that person noticed it too. I'm not the only one that sees that particular thing.
They're not alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that in turn is what bothers the authoritarians. The authoritarians aren't actually so thin-skinned that they cannot abide the idea of somebody drawing them. The truth of the matter is their absence from cartoons would be a problem, because that would mean they weren't making an impression on anyone. They wouldn't be achieving anything.
Yeah.
So it's not that so much as it is the idea that the cartoons could be the beginning of something, because that connection between people, even over great distances, is the beginnings of opposition, resistance, and all the rest of it. One of the things we get told all the time by those who choose to be cynical is that no cartoonist ever toppled a dictator.
Yeah.
To which my response is always, well, do you want to have a word with them then and tell them that? Because they seem to have a real problem with us. And there's got to be a reason for that. And I think that's where the nub of it is, and the satire is healthy.
Yeah.
And the disrespect even is healthy. Because you can't fear someone, or you certainly can't be in mortal dread of a figure who you can also ridicule or mock.
Yeah. If they weren't dangerous, they wouldn't be harassed, right? So, yeah. Okay. So Zehra, what's the big reward for you? I mean, you've gone through all this stuff, but you're still cartooning. What's the reward of being a cartoonist and stuff?
I think nothing can be as satisfying as trying to feel someone and transform it in your own mind, that feelings. You filter, you transform, and you turn it into an art form and share with other people. So it's so satisfying. You cannot find this satisfaction and this feeling in anything else. So when I was in middle school and high school, the teenager times, it's hard times for everyone. It's times that you feel really lonely and all the world is against you. It's not good times. But I remembered that these magazines, cartoons and satire, like they saved me. I never felt alone because I found such an amazing world in a magazine. So funny, but so serious at the same time. So smart, but very funny. So I think it saved me. It taught me to think, as Terry said, like critical, and to find the funny parts in very serious things. And it's a way of like coping things and protecting your mental health and sharing. The main thing is sharing with other people, I think. And it's like sometimes it can be your weapon, sometimes it can be your toy. You can turn it to whatever you want, and it's amazing. I love my profession.
Yeah. One of the things I notice is it's both solitary, but it's also communal. It serves dual purposes. For the art cartoonist itself, it's a nice solitary thing, but it's also, I always think, at least for political cartoons, they're important as a way in a healthy society. A political cartoon is a healthy way of, it's a sign that that power can be checked. and stuff, I guess even in an unhealthy, the attempts to stifle political cartoons shows how unhealthy that society is and stuff, right? So, okay.
I think everyone needs to not make cartoons maybe, but read cartoons and see the funny things in anything, because it will connect us to each other. Imagine if politicians liked cartoons, and if they if they're familiar or if they read cartoons, they wouldn't be that what's the word? I don't know. That
kind of annoyed,
strict
right?
and that
thin-skinned.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually think I'm right in saying that during one of the cases again that Erdogan was involved with in Turkey, an unsuccessful case that he brought against someone, the judge effectively said to him, not in person, obviously he wasn't in the court, but in their ruling was effectively saying to Erdogan that you have to understand this is part of the job. The president is going to be in cartoons. It's just part of the job description.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it,
don't be in
there's
power.
the door.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to be respectful of your time and stuff. So thank you both very much and stuff. It's an honor to talk to you both and stuff, And
thank you
so much.